Welcome! My name is Harvey Newman and I'm here as a professional animator showcasing my love for animation here with all of you in this channel. Today we are going to do yet another interview, this time with developer slash animator, animator first, developer second, Alan Camilo. I actually got to speak with Alan not long ago. A really nice chat, and I think his story is fascinating because he's an incredibly talented animator. But on top of that, he decided to actually diverge his talent a little bit to then create tools for Maya specific for animators that he is now sharing with the whole animation community, and that is AnimBot. It's the most visually striking and the most user-friendly animation tools that you can find right now in the market. So I thought it was about time for me to actually sit down with Alan so I can pick his brain about his life, his past, his life as an animator, his then life as a developer now, and where is AnimBot going in the future, where is it now. Without further ado, let's start this interview. So before I get started, I would like to thank you all because we now reached an amazing milestone of 2,000 subscribers. As you guys know, I started this channel not long ago. It's been a little over 6 months. I didn't really thought it was gonna happen this fast. This channel is about animation. Animation is a niche market in a way. I am super happy that you guys are feeling what I'm doing, and I cannot thank you enough for all the subscriptions that I've gathered so far, and I hope that over the next 6 months I can get another 2,000 or more. I really want this channel to be seen by as many people interested in animation as possible. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, then please do, and we can actually make this channel even better in the future. This is a perfect segue to talk about the 2 comments that I would like to highlight this week. And the first comment is by Renuka Govind that mentioned that this channel is being very helpful to her, so thank you very much, Govinda. I appreciate you taking the time. And the second comment is by Silas Robledo. So Silas mentioned that he was just about to put a shot into Spline and that my last video of the graph editor came at the perfect time for him to actually learn a little bit more about how to work the graph editor. Going into Spline, especially as a new animator, it's a daunting step. I'm glad that my last video helped you, Silas. Please keep the comments coming. And that's all we had for this week. Let's start this interview with Alan Camilo.
Wolfpack form up! Wolf play!
How similar are you to your character?
Well, you know, in real life, I'm not part of a pack, per se. I actually have a bunch of solo projects I'm working on. In particular, my album.
Are you really going to talk about your album?
It's called Howl.
Okay.
And here's a taste of the first single.
Are you done?
Oh no! Oh no!
It's babies.
You gotta answer it.
You're pushing too hard. Lighter. All right. Denisovich, wake up. Oh boy, he's out. Hug his hug. Hug his hug. Hug his squeeze.
Hey, Blondie. Where are you going?
Leave me alone.
You mean like your so-called papa has?
No, he hasn't. He will come for me.
Step away from the stone.
Why?
You'll break it.
It can't break a rock.
Okay, well, here we are with Alan Camilo, creator of AnimBot. Previously used to be ATools. Was kind enough to take a little bit of his time to get this interview with me. and I'm really thankful because he's an animator first and developer second, and I think his story is fascinating. Let's hear about the life and story of Alan Camilo. So Alan, how's it going?
It's very good. Thank you for the introduction. I feel very important right now.
You are. I would like for us to maybe take it back to how you actually started as the Alan Camilo, the animator, and then you transitioned into the tools and the tool development, and what made you take that jump.
Where should I start? It's a long story. I'm trying to figure out a way to tell it in a short period of time. Otherwise, it will take like hours over time. I think everything started back in 2013.
2013.
I started working in Maya full-time by the end of 2012, because before that I used to work with 3D Max, and even before that I used to work with traditional animation. When I started working with Maya, pretty much everybody had those little scripts that we got from the internet that helped work the workflow, the day-to-day work, so like Twin Machine and everything. But then I got into a studio where there was lots of tools, so I started incorporating some in my workflow, and that really helped. In the end, like if you are an animator, what's most important is the art itself. Like the tools are not the most important thing. Once there's a deadline, then the tools become really important, because if you don't deliver in time, you're gonna have a very short time to actually do work. So your work will suffer from. But the problem was that I got used to those tools, in-house tools. And then the market nowadays is like you jump around studios quite often, at least here in Vancouver. So when I got the job at another studio, I didn't have any of those tools. It was even worse than not having them in the first place, because I had to relearn how to animate. And then I said, okay, like took me a few weeks to get used to that again, but I had that pain.
It's like you lost an arm, right?
Yeah. I started like thinking about, I was not a developer. I didn't have like skills to develop anything like complex. I just had some scripting experience, like very basics. The first thing that I wanted to do was to have a tool that I would be able to carry around the studios that I would work. What I did was a small toolbar at the bottom, and I put the scripts that I grabbed in there. That took me like 2 months just to do that toolbar with those scripts. Slowly I was like kind of learning more Python scripting, and then I started replacing those completely. I got so excited about doing that there was a day that was like a epiphany almost. Like I realized that I could make the tools work the way that I want and not get used to the tools. I started to rethinking from scratch, like how exactly do I want this to work for me? Normally, people that code are very much like efficient, which makes sense. And it's like you just want a button, you just click that button and things happen. But you go one step further and you actually kind of add that graphical element, and you have now the pop-ups and stuff like that, right? To me, like it's harder, for example, to do a simple thing rather than doing a complex thing. At least what I try to do, to work as much time as I can and finance as much as I want, so that for the animator, it's gonna be simple to use. Exactly. Which is beautiful. Like you genuinely feel like you are inside my head, because I feel like in all the studios that I go to and when I talk to tool development people, some people get it, some people don't. That's basically what I think most animators want. They just want something that actually kind of is user friendly and that it works like reliably. Yeah. Exactly. I worked as a TD on a studio for a little while, like full-time TD, and then I realized that it's I think the problem with developing on an in-house environment is that it's not really fair to the developer itself, like because they want a tool to meet some goal, and you have some time to do it, and then even if the developer is a guy that knows what the animator one and know what needs to be done, they will probably don't have time to do it properly. Like they will just get to the point where, okay, you click that button, it's working, okay, done, next. That was the reason that it was not a fun experience for me, because I don't really like to develop for developing. Like I like to develop for seeing what you can do with it.
Of course.
You said it perfect. Like I'm an animator in the first place and developer in second.
That's how I see you.
People don't really know.
Yeah, exactly. I keep talking about ATools. I know that we're focusing on AnimBot, but that's how I found you and your work. As soon as I installed them, I was like, this was made by an animator. There's no other way that someone would actually come up with this idea, because where the bar is positioned right on top of the timeline, obviously kind of indicates that this person actually wanted to just have access to this, the timeline and the tools at all times, which is the first thing that I kind of went like, okay, this was an animator. And then how visual it was with all the icons in different colors and everything was separated by, if you have like, you know, time tools, they actually color, and then if you have special tools, it's purple. And it's just like, to me, it just made so much sense. So that's why I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure the developer of this, which then I found out was you. Then I was like, yeah, I'm sure he must be an animator.
That's cool. That's good to hear.
So like, I know that you actually kind of had like these ATools, like a Swiss knife on your pocket, ready to go for any studio. And then how did that transition into other people using it as well?
That was an accident. Because there was two things that I did right off the bat. As you mentioned, like the toolbar at the bottom, that was the first thing. I didn't like the way that it's so much space between the shelf and the timeline. So I did that. And the second thing was I wanted a way to quickly update the tool for me, because I was not writing at work. I was writing at home, but I was writing it every day. So I wanted to get home in the morning and open Maya, and that'll be updated. And for people that use ATools at that time, I think it was 2013, 2014, they would have that kind of thing where there was no option not to update. And then by doing that, I slowly like spread to co-workers. It was like half a dozen or something. And then the thing spread from there, I think, because it wasn't the internet. And then I think somebody sent a link to the tool. And when I realized there was like so many people using it, and it really got out of control, because I was working at the studio for so long without like looking what was happening. When I left was when I realized how many people were actually using it. Yeah, I saw the analytics of the download site that I put it on. I was like, holy shit.
And there's a lot.
I realized, okay, I think I need to do something a little bit more professionally.
So that's what basically started the idea of AnimBot, right?
Yeah.
Like, at what point did you thought, instead of actually kind of continuing to develop ATools and making it better, let me do AnimBot instead? What made that decision of just doing a clean break and start from zero and just do it like fresh?
It was actually I can't update ATools anymore to the contract. That was why this studio like that I was working on, I installed it for me. I had already written like all the code, but then I got into the studio and I installed it for me, and then it spread it through the studio.
Oh, okay.
And then a few months later, they came to me and said, okay, so we either get the tool and you keep developing here in-house and we own it. When we own the updates, not the whole tool, but they own the updates, or we just cut it out from everybody.
Okay.
And I knew that if I did this, people would hang me.
Most likely.
So I said, no, okay, I'm good with, you can keep the updates, no problem. It was actually good. That's when I learned how to properly code, like at least the basics of what to do and what not to do. And then I had to stop the development right there. And that's the version that it is online for ATools up to this day.
When you started developing ATools properly,
So first, like you did a video, I remember saying like you're going to do this, which is really cool. But even before the video, you had the Facebook community, right?
What happened was I left that company in order to be able to do it for me. And then I started coding, but it took me, I thought I would be done in 3-4 months, because I already had all that idea of what I wanted to change, what I wanted to create. But I thought, okay, I think 3-4 months I'll be done. But then 9 months later, I still was like at 30% of the work.
Typical, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I already had a lot of cool things by that time. That was November 2017 when I released the video.
So I'm here today to talk about the past, the present, and the future of ATools for you guys that are interested in it. And a spoiler alert, it's getting retired.
So I decided, okay, so this is gonna be a milestone. I'm gonna release a beta. I'm gonna release as it is with a lot of things to be done still. I was just by myself at work, at home. I didn't, like, nobody else was using it, only me. So I wanted to get people hands on it.
Yeah, very smart.
That was the reason that the finance that I was able to do with ATools in the first place, like all feedbacks and stuff. So I created that community, the My Animation workflow on Facebook, in order to get people interested in using it and maybe sharing ideas or like that, or testing it at least. But then I think by mid 2018, the community was already too big. Like, so I kind of stopped posting things specifically to the development of AnimBot. And then I created the other community, which is AnimBot support clan. Yeah, so I kind of split.
Like the whole development of AnimBot from like beginning to end, was it like 2 years? Was it like nearly 2 years?
Yeah, it was almost exactly 2 years.
What was the thing that made you go like, okay, this is it, this is good enough, I'm just gonna put it out there, see how it goes?
Yeah, my goal was to replace everything on ATools, because at that point, from the beta, I was still using ATools and AnimBot at the same time. There was not like all the tools that ATools had on AnimBot just yet. So that was the breaking point, I think, for me. So I wanted to replace that at the first time, and then release it, and then keep developing from that point. Like, I still have a lot of ideas. There's still a lot of things to be improved, bugs to be fixed. There will always be that. So my job now is kind of a juggling priorities, because now since I released, I have even more things to do now.
Of course, the fun of creating tools all the time and finessing them and stuff, I think he's kind of I'm guessing he took a back step, and now you're kind of just trying to kind of stabilize the tool, fix bugs, client support and all that stuff, right? Yeah, which I guess takes pretty much all of your time, and as much as is very necessary, but maybe not as fun as just creating things all the time, right?
Yeah, you described it perfectly.
Right.
But the good news is that I'm going to start working full time on this, at least for like a year or so. Yeah,
that's great news.
So yeah, that I think it's been 2 weeks already. But
2 weeks that you started working on it, like full time, like this is.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And let's see how that goes.
I'm sure he's gonna go great, man. Like, I've seen the journey of Mark Jackson from Red 9, going from work to part-time to then full-time, and now the Red 9 business is going well. And I have no doubt the same is gonna happen with AnimBot as well.
Thanks. Yeah. I hope so.
But like, now that you actually kind of decided to go down this path of developing AnimBot, do you see yourself actually kind of doing like a break where you don't actually animate and you just develop, like for the next year, let's say? Or do you still going to do both things?
I think the best thing to do for me at this point is to kind of work on chunks. So if I'm gonna develop a new tool, it's I will just focus on that, keep developing. Once it's done, I stop, keep like just doing the normal supporting and stuff, and then I do some animation work. But I plan, it's funny, but I plan to animate on doing other things, like animating traditional. I want to go back to animate that. And I also want to explore Blender.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a brave new world. That's true.
Yeah, but I still wanna keep animating Maya as well.
Like really, in reality, in your eyes, the eyes of the creator, how do you see the future of AnimBot going?
Oh, I think for the next year, that'll be just a few more tools and more stabilization. By this point, it's very stable, although there is still like a very minority that are facing some issues, but not like red flags or anything. It's just like annoyances, I would say. I'm gonna work to fix those things and then introducing more tools that I have.
That's great.
In mind. And I think for maybe next year, I'm gonna start thinking about porting this to other softwares.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you meaning like Motion Builder in 3D Max?
Yeah.
Right.
Because to me, like, I remember when I told you about the frustration that I had when I went to the other company and I didn't have my tools. The same will happen if I suddenly start working on a game company that works with 3D Max, for example.
Sure.
It's kind of I want to have that sort of like default interface for the animator to work anywhere.
I think keeping it independently of a company or just being your own company means that it gives you more flexibility to do whatever you want. In this case, support different platforms. So basically your life is changing a lot. So basically you're going to start working in the company full time. You're no longer working in animation. You're kind of splitting away from animation to develop only. And you're also moving, right?
I'm moving, yeah.
And are you still staying within Canada or are you going to move somewhere else?
I'll be in Canada still, but on the East Coast now.
On the East Coast. And the reason for the move, it's because it's more flexible. Are you closer to something that you want to be, or?
I'm kind of looking at a simpler life kind of thing. And there's no really reason to live in Vancouver if I'm not working here anymore, because it's just too expensive to live here. And it's close to my parents.
Well, your parents are in Canada as well, or are they?
No, they're in Brazil.
They're in Brazil?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess you go to the East Coast, so it's closer.
It's about 5.5 hours closer.
But now that you kind of are just working freelance and you work in your own company, I mean, in theory, you could go back to Brazil and just like work in a beautiful place somewhere in the beach and not have to worry. As long as you have fast internet, that's all you really need, right?
That's true. I could. Yeah. I ended up choosing Canada as the place that I want to raise my family. So it's kind of hard to break from that right now. The kids are still young. Yeah, I want to give the best for them.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'll be moving next week. So
next week. So basically, I'm catching you just before you start your new endeavor, your kingdom, your AnimBot kingdom. And next thing you know, I'm going to have to speak with your PA in order to actually get an interview.
No, I don't plan to grow the company. No, it's going to be just me. I can get people to help me if I need it, but I don't plan to like another Autodesk or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I want the opposite of that.
Once again, people think that these tools automatically happen, and then there's probably a lot of people behind the tools. But AnimBot, even though it's this epic tool, it's only you and just you developing everything about the tool.
Yep.
Just the one-man army.
One thing that I wanted to point is that I developed this all by myself, like the code itself, but I got help from so many people from the community that we were talking about.
Yeah. Do you think that the gap is still there for more people to come along and join you guys in this small niche industry, I guess?
I think so, yeah. Especially because animation is so broad. Like there's a motion capture animation, there's a game animation, TV animation, feature film animation. So and also because workflow, it's not the same for everybody, and tastes are different. It's not like it's a big space. That's one thing that I know. It's a very small community. I don't think like if a company with 5-6 people would do something like this would be sustainable, to be honest.
When I started animating, when you started animating, like you just go to certain websites and you get like the one script that does one thing, and then you kind of just download it, and then you have a twin machine, let's say, or you have something that actually changes the keys, the colors of your keys, or something like that. So you end up with a whole bunch of stuff on your shelf. So I feel like upcoming animators will never have to see that, because people like you have created AnimBot, and they have a whole bunch of tools that they will take for granted, and they all come together with an executable, or like you did, which is beautiful, just drag and drop into Maya and then installs itself, and it's great. and that stuff for me is magical, and I'm pretty sure upcoming people will not understand how easy it is. Like there needs to be more people like you in order to actually kind of make animation easier, because the way I see it and what I say to everyone, students or whatnot, like animation is already difficult enough. People that used to use just pencil and paper already had it really complicated, and the only thing they had was pencil and paper. So the fact that we have all these buttons and we have to learn Maya and all what the buttons are, and things take a lot of time because distances and 3 or 4 clicks to do one thing.
Yeah. And to me, like one thing that I try to do at least is my brain has, a limited space for things. Like I cannot learn like so many tools. Like Maya itself, like it's so much. There's so much things that we can do there. Even if in a lifetime I wouldn't be able to learn how to use everything.
Yeah.
One thing that I try is that it's not just like adding tools, like boom, 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 and then suddenly you have like 1,000 things to do. It's more like make it in a abstractive way, so that you can combine tools together, and that makes sense. Like just driving a car, you have a pedal that presses the gas, and that's what it does. That's it, nothing else. The other one, the brakes. Once you learn how to use a few tools, everything else makes sense more easy. But yeah, I mean, I like to not only replace things in Maya that I feel it could be improved, but also like use the native things that I like, because they're all like features that are there, but sometimes that are hard to find, or too many things to do. Like I confess that I was never successful setting hotkeys in Maya. Again, like it's not only for animators, so everything is in there.
Well, Alan, I think that's all the questions that I had. I don't think I have anything else. Thanks very much for doing this again. The viewers don't know this, but we did this interview before and by mistake, and it was a problem. Skype decided to kind of just go all weird and didn't record anything. So Alan is doing this again with me. So thank you very, very much for being so patient. I really appreciate it. And Alan, I won't take more of your time because I know you have to actually pack some boxes and get moving. I wish you much success in this new journey that you're about to embark on, because it's exciting times for you, I'm sure.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, it was my pleasure.
We need more people like Alan in the animation community. Maya by itself, as a raw package, does a bit of everything. But the problem with doing a bit of everything is that Maya is not really amazing at any one thing. It becomes amazing when you add plugins and you add pipelines on top of Maya. That's the beauty of Maya. Its backend is open, so therefore you can actually add tools to then craft your Maya to be specific, but by itself, bare bones, Maya is not really catered to any one thing. Not modelers, not animators, not rendering, and every single studio that I've been has had some kind of tweak on top of it. Having people like Alan that do these tools for animators means that our life, even if you don't work at a studio, even if you're freelance, your life is a little easier because you can focus on animation instead of having to focus on the technical side of things. Animation is already hard enough, so anything, any tool that you can have that actually makes your life easier as an animator and takes all of your time that you would have put on the technical side of things back into animation means that your animations will be better. So I'm really thankful to people like Alan. I wouldn't be able to spend as much time animating if I didn't have tools like AnimBot. As you heard in the interview, he's just the one guy working on this tool by himself. As you heard, he now goes full-time into working on AnimBot, so he really needs your support. So I highly recommend you guys go and get a subscription. It's just about $5-10 a month, and it will help Alan to continue developing tools for all of us. So it's a win-win situation, and I really think you guys should actually kind of support, because this way you are investing in yourself. And that's all I had for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I see you guys in a week's time, and as always, stay well, stay safe. Peace!